All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, ladies. How are you tonight? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Monday.
We made it to another week. We made it to
Yes.
another week. So grateful. So, good evening to all of you who are joining us tonight. This is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. And we are delighted to be here tonight. Our topic for tonight is the art of letting go. But before we get into this topic, we're going to start off as we normally do, which is by introducing ourselves. And I guess since I'm talking, I'll just go ahead and start. So, my name is Theodora Carter. I am a certified professional life coach and career coach. And my mission is to help women navigate the twists and turns in life so that they can live the life that they desire to live. And we grateful to be here tonight. I'm grateful that I had a great weekend spending some time with some really good girlfriends, a girlfriend getaway this past weekend that I had traveling mercies, and that I am here tonight with some other of my special girlfriends. And so I will turn it over to Regina.
Good evening. Good evening. I am Regina Booker. I am the founder, CEO of Season and Fabulous, which is a women's activist for women 50 and 50 plus, to let you know it's not too late. You can still do what you want to do. Um, Working on some things. One of the things is a fireside chat that will be coming in the fall, which I had before the pandemic. So bringing it back, it was a great success. So working on that. So we could just have a place where we can chat and talk and have resources and things that, because it's not too late, you know. So that's what we do over here in Season and Fabulous.
And
And I
what
am grateful before just to be here, just to be in the number, as they say in the church. I'm glad to be in the number.
All right. And last but not least, Sheila.
Good evening. I am Sheila Isom. I am an insurance claims professional and I am also a small business owner. I am a notary public and I am also an independent consultant for Color Street Nail Strips, where we sell nail polish strips. So I am grateful for having the ability to rest and to relax from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. I too, like Theo, got back in town after having a peaceful week of doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of nothing.
Amen.
Oh my God. And you know, it's so great, right? Because I feel like this conversation like ties into that, right? Because we're talking about the art of letting go. And when I first thought about the topic, I got excited because I thought, what does that mean, right? And what does it take, right, to let go? And what are some of the things that we let go of? We let go of things, we let go of places, we let go of people, right? And I think for each of those situations, there's a different way to do it. So when you hear the art of letting go, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
Hmm.
Oh, looking at the first, just taking it word by word, the art means something. You're thinking of something that you may have mastered,
Mm,
that you've already got a handle on. And letting go is not necessarily, it could be a combination of things. It could be just leaving some things behind and not looking back. It could be that you are releasing something, a feeling, a person. And it could be that you're just treating something or someone in
mm,
a different way
mm,
for your own sanity.
Mhm.
So an art is something that requires a skill. And one of the things that we talk about, which is why one of the reasons why we're here, is because we talk about our life experiences, things that we didn't know about when we were younger, but we can talk about now because we've had those experiences. And along with that comes the skills from the lessons that we've learned and things that we've put into practice. So when you talk about letting go, it's something that you had to, the art of letting go, you have to build up to it.
Mhm.
Right. And then also use your power of discernment that we all have, or sometimes it's also known as that intuition that's telling you that, it's time to let something go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love how you describe art, right? Meaning that you're an expert in something, because it made me think about what you just said, like how it's always leading up and building to something.
Mhm.
And then it made me think, is there really an art to letting go? Right? Because I feel like we're always like learning to let go.
Right.
So is it a contradiction, or is it something that you can at some point master it in the sense that you figure out how to do it in a way that is sustainable?
Mhm.
It could be that, but then I'm looking at the flip side to that. You could also get to the point where you're so good at it that it's actually detrimental to you,
Mm,
because then you start letting go of things just for the sake of being able to do it and not having a real purpose or meaning behind it, and not knowing whether or not there are going to be some implications that come down the line that are actually negative, because this is something that you put into practice and now you've made it a habit
mhm.
just because.
And I love that, because my next question was going to be, right, when do you think is necessary? And so that really speaks to what you just said, because some people get to the point of being experts at it to where they just let things go, let things go, let things go, let things go. And some things that you let go, maybe you're not supposed to let go. You're just supposed to maybe put it in aside
Hmm.
for a minute. So Regina, what do you think?
I think um, letting go, I think of your peace.
Mm,
When letting things go, when it's chaotic, it's causing you stress, it's causing you. So it is, to me, it is an art. It is a skill you have to learn, because sometimes you could just still keep chipping at something, trying to fix it, or until you realize that you have to let it go. So to me, the art of letting go is when it's interfering with your peace. Then it's time for you to really look at this and say, what do I need to do? And sometimes you might need to get some help
mm,
to figure that out. So that's where I have learned recently, last year or so, is when it starts disturbing my peace,
Mm.
it's time to let go.
yeah. I mean, I think for me, one of the things I've had to really think about, and it goes back to the discernment piece, right? Is
Mhm,
even though we have discernment, there have been times when
mhm,
I probably have not used my discernment. So I got knocked over the head by Father God, right?
mhm,
With him being the one that removes things, right? But as I have done what you said, right? Like really look for help, sought help, but also in my mind, just to make sure I'm not doing what Sheila talked about, which is like just letting things go, is I ask myself why,
mhm,
right?
Mm.
Why do I even feel like this is something I have to let go? Or as you said, what is this thing that I'm holding on to? What purpose is it serving? And I think a lot of places where people get stuck with that is not just in relationships, because I know a lot of topics will center around relationships, but I think people also get stuck in jobs,
I was gonna say that. I
right?
have, yeah, I have a perfect example of, I'm in between jobs right now trying to figure out what's the next step. and I'm praying and asking God and doing my due diligence as well. So opportunity came my way through my friend's manager, and it was internal. And I looked, I said, well, hey, this job is internal. I told her, I said, so it's not, for any external people.
Mm-hmm.
Or manager wanted to interview me. She says, well, just call HR and tell them. And I said, does she have a contact? I said, because it's not that simple. So she says, no, somebody else did it. She sent me the requisition. So I had to make a decision. I said, you know what? It's just too much hoops to jump through. So I gotta let this go. And I let it go, because if I had to do all of this, because to me, if you really wanted to interview me, you're inside. You would have went to HR. You would have did all these things that you're telling me to call. So that's just one instance of. So I honestly sat back, because I was like, this seemed like it's gonna bring a lot of stress just trying to get to somebody, and then you don't want to tell the contact, well, this manager said, because you don't want to, blackball somebody because they told you. So that's just one instance. When you said that, I thought of that. And that was just one thing I had to let it go. It doesn't have to be relationships, like you said. It could just be a thing, or just something too complicated. Like why should it should now there are complicated things, but just if you sit back and look at it, like, it's just causing too many, it's not fitting right. So to me also, if it's not fitting right, it's not a smooth transition. Sometimes God's saying that's not something for you as well, in a job situation like that. That's how I feel. So again, letting go could just be a simple thing for the day. It's an array of things.
I mean, I feel like what I would say the past 4 years have been a journey of letting go, right? Like you said, like some things I had to let go of because God snatched it, right? I just had to wrap my head around, like, the reason why, right? Like this is like I had to get to the point of this this thing, right? Was that I had to let go of emotionally and mentally, right? Was for my peace, as you said, but also it was a protection, right? For me, right? That God designed. But I will say, like you, I think some of the things that I let go of, and like when I decided to make this move, right? I let go of a condo, right? It was like, okay, like people think they can't sell a home, right? Or they can let go of, right? They get attached to that thing. And I let go of an executive level role, right? To transition into a role that would allow me to do more of something else that I want to do, right? And it wasn't easy, so I don't want to say it like it was easy, but I do think that we get to a place where we have to decide the purpose for letting go. What does it serve?
Right. And I think as you talked about earlier, we sometimes think about, people letting go of people and letting go of jobs. But one of the other things that comes to mind is letting go of churches. Because the church not only has to be the right fit for you, but you have to be a right fit for that church. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with that religious institution. It's just saying that that's not the place that is feeding your soul. You need to go somewhere where you are going to learn and thrive and feel comfortable being there, feel comfortable learning and taking the message of the preacher or the bishop or the reverend that's in charge and letting them lead and guide and teach you. Oftentimes, and it is so true, because the women of the church, right? Because mainly, churches are comprised of women, but you have the elders, particularly, right, who have staked their territory in that church and will quickly let somebody know that they don't have a place, right?
Right.
You can't sit in a certain pew. You can't sit on a certain side of the
Mhm.
church, right? Those are some things that could affect your ability to connect
Mhm.
with that
Mhm.
church. And it's okay. And I find myself even, I mean, people have been with churches for years, and there's something that happens, not necessarily externally, it could be something internally that will cause them to say, I need to go elsewhere,
Mhm.
because maybe that church has served its purpose for you at that time.
Mhm.
I
That's
mean,
very good.
that's
Very good.
that's one. I experienced that right when I left Central Jersey to go to North Jersey, right? Being tied to First Baptist, where I had been for like 10 years, right? And, very active, really my church home, church family. And I went to another church and it was fine. And then I ended up going back to First Baptist, right? Then I went to another church. But I think right now, what you just said, as soon as you said it, it resonated with me because that's where I'm at right now, right?
Mhm.
I'm in a new state. I still do virtual church because I still am a member of First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens, right, in New Jersey, and I'm in North Carolina. So I'm a virtual member. And so I've been attending, I've been to Elevation Church down here. So it's interesting that you said that because it's true, right? Like me, me letting go wouldn't be because I'm letting go for a bad reason, right? Like it's not because I don't feel like I'm getting fed. It's not because I don't feel like they're not serving the need, right? Which is to nourish my soul, my spiritual growth, because I am getting that. But what I'm not getting is the in-person fellowship,
Mhm.
right? And so I feel that there's a draw for me right now to have that. And so
Mhm.
now I am struggling with that. How do I let go of my virtual, right? And go in person? And right now I'm at a spot of you don't need to not be a member, right? You can still be a member, but you can attend another church, right? In person, right? Because there's always watch care right now. If I'm leaving here forever, at some point I'm going to have to give up watch care. Right? But it's interesting that you said that because that really is, I didn't even think of that, but that is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, right? Is letting go of, especially if you grew up in the church or your family
Yep.
grew up in the church, right? And you've been going there all your life since you were a child or whatever. So that's a good yeah,
Yeah, that's really good
yeah.
because we don't think about that. What we put on that a lot of times is church hurt, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily church hurt. It's you've outgrown that season and you need to move on. But it's nothing against the church.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And most people will think that you're leaving because it's like you said, it's church hurt, but it's not
Mhm.
always that. But
Mhm.
that's the same thing with relationships, and that's the same thing with a job, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
always leave, you're not always leaving because something didn't go right or
Mhm.
something was wrong. Sometimes it's for growth,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes it's to do something different.
Right.
And it's funny because as I was doing some research on this topic, of course, all the things I found about letting go were really about relationships,
Yeah.
right? And then I thought to myself, so how do I take? Because there were these 9 things they say that you need to manage or master, right? And I was like, well, how do we break this down and make it apply to other stuff, right? Because one of the things they say you have to do in order to manage or master letting go is be your own saving grace.
Mhm.
So
Well,
what?
you know what? Also, for me, I have two um, sons, which are young men now,
Mhm.
and what I had to let go of, I had to let them be adults and make their own.
Mm,
So that's another part of letting go. And so what I say now is my friends will, they'll say, well, how's Brandon or Blake doing? I said, they're doing fine. I'm being a grandma. I said, I learned my role. I mean, of course, they ask for guidance, and since I kind of stepped back and let them do their thing, and it's mostly the majority of it is about relationships and women and this, and I try to tell them this, that, and the other, and it was kind of a little friction. But since I let it go and they tell me stuff, I just sit back. What do you think? I said, I'm gonna be grandma. I'm afraid.
I mean, I think it's hard to like even really be that person to say, what do you think? Because I think for everybody, it's different.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I did find that they come to me more and they'll give me their situation. So I try to give them a woman. So I say, I am your mom, but I am a woman 1st. So I try to put my little spin on what they tell me, and I go back to being well, this is some options, and this is how this young lady might be feeling. But before, I was just trying to, I'm a woman and so I had to let that go. I really did, and I had to let them, because I was fighting a battle, especially between, don't want to get too personal because it's my kids, but I was fighting a battle that the young ladies was accepting.
You
Regina, be a grandma.
so I'm gonna say that. So what you're saying is you were fighting a battle for women who were accepting of the
exactly.
I just wanted to say that again for the person.
Yeah.
Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah. Some people may not hear that sometimes, right? We gotta let go of fighting battles for other people who are ready to fight that battle for themselves.
Exactly. And I'm going in as, this is a woman and, I raised you better and
and they're like, whatever, mom, because when I go to her, she fine with it.
Right.
And really that's what it boiled down to. And I was getting myself all worked up and, I did not raise you this way and blah, blah, blah. I should let it go.
And it's funny because people think we say, I'm sure they think, okay, we say let it go, right? And that's it. We let it go. But there's a whole process, of letting stuff go.
Yeah,
depending on what you're letting go.
Right, exactly, and especially when it comes to your children, because you just really, with any situation, you want the best, so you try to cover. Even if it wasn't a relationship, it could be anything. They're making a job decision and you feel like they should do something else. As mothers, we want to protect our babies no matter how old they get. And sometimes you gotta let them, because we had to make our mistakes. But we know
we still making mistakes.
Yeah, but we know how it hurts. So I did this, and so that's part of letting go too. That could be, Theo, I know you're not a mom, but you have your God children and young ladies that you've been in your life and just different situations, and it don't even have to be. It could just be anything.
I have my nieces that
I they're like your daughters to you because you've been around them all your life. So when this Mother's Day is auntie, godmother, a woman, just because you poured in some child's life at some point.
Yeah, but it's true because even with some of a couple of my nieces, like they talk to me and I have to I've learned to just listen, right? And ask, and now the coach comes out, right? So I'll just ask questions, right? As opposed to saying, well, why would you do this or why would you do that? Because I also recognize that because of my experience, right? I want to tell them what they should do. And in reality, like you just said, they have to figure that out for themselves, right?
Right.
They have
Right.
to figure out whether or not this is a relationship is serving them, whether this job is serving them, whether whatever it is that they're thinking about doing, how it's serving them, and whether or not it works for them or not. Because I've been through it and I know how it might end up.
Mm-hmm.
That's based on my experience. That doesn't mean it's going to end up for them like that. So that's the other thing that I try to think about as well. Because I'm still trying to figure out, right? Stuff that I got to probably let go of.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you have to look at the fact that, life is a learning process,
Yes.
an identification process
Mm-hmm.
every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You whether sometimes you're just not cognizant of it, but you learn about yourself and your capabilities just about every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You also learn how to refine your capabilities, how to strengthen your character,
Mm-hmm.
right? How to identify those things that are right versus wrong and good versus bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's every single day there's something that pops up, and again, it may not hit you. It could be 2-3 weeks, several months later, where you're saying, oh my goodness, and that's one of the things that helps you get to the art of letting go.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's all part of your growth.
Mm-hmm.
And those growths, that's going to include some stumbling patches too, but you get up and you continue to move forward step by step.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with that, you start to learn that there are just some things that I cannot have in my path.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's also, right, accepting it, right? It's really practicing acceptance, right? Like once you make that a decision, accepting that you made this decision. I think about, and some people may not agree with me, right? But I'm not a believer in counter offers, right? So when I make a decision to resign from a job and I'm moving on, right? I don't believe in a counter offer because I feel like that's kind of like, in my mind, a slap in the face. Is right. I feel like, you're now telling me because I gave you a letter saying that in 2 weeks or 3 weeks I'm going to be leaving, that you now have the money to pay me that you wouldn't pay me while I was there. Right. So for me, a counter offer is kind of insulting. Right. And so for me, I'm cool with that, but other people may have to practice that. Right. They really may have to wrap their heads around, why they're resigning. Right. Because are you resigning because some people do it to get a counter offer.
Yeah.
Like that is their main reason for doing it. So I say that to say, I think you also have to think about, why am I letting this thing go? Is it no longer serving a purpose for me? Does it no longer value me? Right? Whether it's a intimate relationship, whether it's a job, right? Because some of us let go of relationships or people because we don't feel they value us. Some of us decide to leave jobs because we don't feel they value us or paying us what it's worth. So I think another thing is, and I think, Sheila, you mentioned this before, right? Is really not doing stuff in haste, right? But taking that moment to use the discernment that we have been given. And that doesn't, and a lot of times that discernment doesn't click in 24 hours.
Right.
And that becomes the problem, I think, in some cases, is because we're trying to make a decision or move so quickly that we don't take time to process the why, what may happen, right? What may come out of it.
Mm-hmm. And it's also trying to the immediate gratification too. So
Yeah.
it's like if I decide that I'm ready to move on from whatever it is that I'm moving on from, I expect my feelings to be in line with that decision.
Mhm.
I expect the people that are affected by it to be in line with it right then and there with no
Mhm.
questions asked. I don't expect to have any residual thoughts or feelings about it later on, but that's not realistic.
Mhm.
Some things are meant to stay with you so that you can continue to process what's
Mm-hmm.
going
Yeah.
on and what your actions are.
Yeah. And that's a key point, right? Because for me, when there's that little stuff going on in your spirit, like you're going back and forth and you got to overthink, you keep thinking about it. And what if this, what if that? For me, that is a sign that, you know what, you might need to take a step back and figure out if this is really, something you should be moving into or moving away from, right? Or letting it go.
Mhm.
For me, when things kind of just like move smoothly, I kind of feel like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And but when there's a lot of like resistance, I feel like then I have to, like you said, take a step back and think about, what am I anticipating or expecting from this decision that I'm about to make, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So one of the other things they say about managing and mastering, letting go is to have patience and faith. And they say at times the hard decisions are the right ones. Just because it's difficult right now doesn't mean it will always feel and stay the same. Practice patience and have faith in yourself. Have you guys ever experienced, that place of, well, I'm gonna just tell you for real. God been working on me in patience, I think, most of my life. So, so, so I'm just gonna keep it real. Like I feel like he's like, girl, I don't know what else to do, what else to say to get you to, and so I'm better at it because I truly what I truly probably was that person that I decide I want to do something, I'm just gonna do it, right? But I have had to stop and really practice patience, right? And think about what I'm doing. But also, the faith part is, I think,
Mm.
the huge piece for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. And I'm just speaking for myself. That has been a journey of growth for me, right? Because I really have had to be like, okay, God got this.
Right.
So I literally ask myself now, what part of this situation can you control? And I focus on the part that I can control and I give up the rest of it and I let God do him. Right. Um, but that did not come easy. That is years and years and years and years of
Yeah. Yep.
battle, right? How have you guys managed that patience and faith?
It's like I don't know which one has more weight than the other,
Mhm.
right? It could be, at times it may be that it's one and not the other, or they're equally weighted. But I think the hardest one to really deal with is having faith in yourself.
Mm.
Um, we learn to kind of sort of be patient with things and as we go, but um, making sure that you actually have that you are the one that you're believing in your decisions and your actions, because it's so easy to let that self-doubt creep in,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
whether you express it outwardly or not. But
Mhm.
I can think of times where it's just like I'm like, Am I really making the right decision? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? Did I really mean it? Can
Mhm.
I go forward? Um, and then it's just taking the time, like actually using patience to build up my
Mhm.
faith in myself, right? Because,
Yeah.
and again, getting away from, not expecting it to happen overnight and having that immediate gratification that, I can sit back and I can actually say, I've thought about this and I'm going
Mhm.
to be okay.
Mhm.
The worst thing that can happen is that it doesn't turn out the way I thought it would. And then I just know that I have to take another direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes that having faith in yourself is a harder one.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I'm in a season of patience and waiting right now because I'm like so in the unknown or what to do, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to, well, yeah, I'm trying to just let go and let God, but I'm doing my part.
Mhm.
So as I'm going through things in doing a lot of writing and journaling and researching. So this whole journey gave me time to do things that I didn't have time for. Was I come home from work and I'm just like exhausted and never completed anything or thought about the things that I needed to do. So it is giving me some insight, but I'm having to have the patience and the faith
Mhm.
and not try to make the wrong decision where that's when you have to step back or
Right.
have something dangling in your face and because it's quick, it's easy, let me take that, and then that would
Mhm.
be devastating to you
Mhm.
and you get in it and you're miserable.
Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of expressed that when you had given us the example of earlier, right? About the position, right? In between jobs,
Hmm.
right? Opportunity comes along, and you could have been like, okay, I'm gonna do everything she says, right? Because I want to take this job, but you were like, wait a minute, I want a job, but you recognize that the hoops that you would have to jump through may not have necessarily been what you really should be doing, right?
Right.
So
Hmm.
it's kind of believing that it's kind of putting belief in yourself along with what the word says that God has promised, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah, right. Because I mean, at the end of the day, he's like, I've given you everything that you need,
Hmm.
right, in order to sustain. And so I need you to trust, right?
Right.
Got you, right? But we have to believe that we have to believe because we always say we're doing our part.
Hmm.
I feel like I have to believe that I'm able to do my part,
Hmm.
right? I think that's where we get hung up, believing that we are able to do our
Hmm.
part, second guessing ourselves, which
Yeah.
comes to the next thing, right? That I think is really important, which is what we tell ourselves,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Mindset.
And I know I made the right decision also that you brought that because right before this podcast, my friend actually called me to check on me. And I told her, I said, I didn't look through that job that your manager told me to do. And I explained why. Because when she called me, she was in the office with her manager, and I heard her manager in the background telling me, which I knew the manager,
Mhm.
but I just felt comfortable. I said that was just too much. And, respectfully, I thanked her for looking out, but, I expressed how I felt it should have gone. And,
Mhm.
so this actually was a good topic because now it's just giving confirmation that I did the right thing for
Mhm.
me and I'm at peace with it. Like it was that whole thing with calling people and, you know, giving all this kind of half information and wasting my time. Time is valuable. Time is more valuable than money.
Mhm.
You know?
But I think it also comes down to like what you said, like it's rewiring your thoughts,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's what we tell ourselves, right? Like, which goes back to having faith in ourselves, right? Because
Right.
you could have told yourself, right, you know what? I need to do everything she's telling me to do, because if I don't take this job, I don't know when the next one's gonna come along.
Mhm. Yeah.
But if you know your abilities, right, and you have then combined with what God has already promised and what his word says, right? You then you're able to talk to yourself and say, well, listen, right? This is what I need to do. I think some of us don't take the time to rewire our thoughts, because a lot of time we're in that mode of, um, which happens a lot in corporate and other non-corporate spaces, right?
Mhm.
Is the reactive
Mhm.
mindset as opposed to the proactive,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because you also are thinking in lines of what else you're attempting to do, which
Right.
I think all of us are at that space,
Right.
right? Whether we're thinking about retiring, whether we're thinking about running our own businesses, right? We're all like, okay, if I take on this opportunity, how is that going to impact this other thing?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. That.
So,
Yeah. And that's just what kind of all my decisions now. Just rethinking them, and it is changing your mindset. Like,
mhm.
just some things you do have to let go, even down to um, I haven't had, and I pray it continues. Coke is my weakness. I'm a
Mm.
Coke girl. I know how harmful that Coke. So I haven't had it since March.
Oh,
And
all right.
yeah,
Accomplishment.
Like at
so
all, like you just went cold turkey,
well through
like
sort of through the process that I went through, and
oh, okay.
mindset, changing your mindset. And I
Mhm.
like that bubbly. And I went by, um, I think it was Sunday. I went in Publix. It's a grocery store out here,
Mhm.
and I saw the Coke, and I was having a moment. I said, but I had to talk myself. I said, "Girl, if you touch that Coke, it's over." And I walked right past it. I said,
Oh, so this is part of the 40-day thing you were doing.
uh-huh.
Okay.
So that's a big deal for me because I'm just like a Coke person. I love, and the whole battle between Pepsi. I've always liked Coke over Pepsi, but I
Mhm.
will drink a Pepsi. But I just got to have a Coke. And my kids used to know when I would be stressed out when I was little. They go, "I know, Mom. I know. We got to go to the corner store and get you a Snickers and a Coke."
Let me
And
tell
they
you.
come back.
So my girlfriends that I was with is this weekend, right? I don't drink soda, right? I don't do.
Uh-huh.
But there's three that are Coke. There's like two of them, I think, that are Pepsi. Two or three of them Pepsi. So I usually am the instigator.
Uh-oh.
So the other day
Oh,
I sent that message because I think they discontinued one of the flavors. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? They're getting rid of Coke, right? And then in our group, they just started going back and forth. And I just sit back and laugh because I can't believe that there's really this battle over Coke.
yeah, there is a battle. It
Because
is.
Oh, yeah.
even when I did drink soda, I couldn't tell the difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
I never engaged myself in those battles. However, I know that there is a battle. But my thing for my health, and that was part of, to me, that's a letting go situation because I'm a Coke girl, for real, for real. So I'm trying to hold on. Like I want that Coke over eating a piece of cake. Because I
Wow.
can eat the cake and say, I got myself, I don't want it for a while. But once I hit that Coke, it's downhill for me.
I mean, so let's talk about that, right? For the last like maybe 8, 9 minutes that we have, right? We might go over a little, but because I think just this society we're living in, right? Like there are so many people that are just not healthy, right? Are
Mhm.
not really focused on their health. And, I think one of the key things you said was, right, there are things that impact our health because we feel like we can't let it go, right? Like I
Mhm.
can't let go. Cause I was like you with jelly beans. Like when Easter time comes, I really literally used to feel like if I went in the store, I would hear them calling me, right? Like I would walk in Walgreens and I would hear them say, "We're over here." Like I felt like when Easter came, I had to buy jelly beans. Right now, I kind of because the ones I like are the Brock's Classic, which is
Mhm.
like sugar,
Right.
right? The ones we had as a kid. So I really was like, you really need to get rid of this jelly bean thing that you have going on. But I say that to say, like, you literally went through a 40-day process where you had to give up stuff.
Mhm.
Like, how did you like manage that? Like, what are some of the things you did to let go of some of the things that you needed to let go of?
First of all, it was pre-work, and that was very important. How that system is set up. Before we even started, he had pre-work where he'd give you classes. Well, it wasn't really, they were like mastermind classes. We would have an hour on whatever day, and it was one of the things was the barking dogs, which was the voices in your head. So it
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
different. It was like four different subjects. That's one I can that really stuck with me. Like when you're going through something and with anything, and the voices in your head telling you that you can't do it, you can't. So you have to change that whole mindset. So we had a whole um, class on that, and just different things and people talking and saying. So that's what got me through with those pre-work, and that really helped.
Mhm.
Because if you think about it, when you do and it did make sense. Most um, lifestyle changes for your health and stuff, they tell you what to do, but they don't talk about the psychology behind it, like
Uh-huh.
how you're going to feel. You do this because that's going to make you go in the right direction. But and I thought about it. Yeah, I'll be on something for 4 or 5 days, and after that, I quit. But now, even now, I can't even pick up certain things because I know I've researched. I've been in a class. I've had a group. I've had accountability partners, and they're all gone now. Well, not all. I still have the group I could go in, but I pick up and I read the labels and I read. Ah, I'm like, I just need to go home and fix something. Because sometimes when you're out and you're trying to grab something good, so now I can't even grab the bad stuff. I have to be pretty hungry to grab it, and then when I'm grabbing it, I'm like, oh my, and it doesn't even taste good.
Mhm.
So I have to even work my way up to meals. Cooking meals are better than, and I'm not a cook, but I know that's better for me
So
because I'm
you
putting my
so
own.
you literally rewired your
I
thought.
had to and I am actually I have rewired myself, and it has stuck. It has really stuck.
And
More so than any other time,
yeah.
because I have
And
done
so
it
you've done
before.
it before. You've tried it before, but this time there was something different
It's
about it.
something different with this one. I've done it before, and actually with Weight Watchers, I did it, and I was successful one time, and I went back several times. But it all depends on you. Like this program might what I'm in could work for me and not work for someone else. So it all depends on what you put in it or
Mhm.
how you come out of it or whatever the case may be. With the Weight Watchers, I did really well. I thought I was doing well. And then little by little, I went back to all those bad habits within 6 months. And then all the weight came back.
But I think it's what the key thing is what you just said. I think behind everything, and I truly believe this. That's why, like, for every client I have, right, we start
Mhm.
with mindset.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but we continue, like with every component, that
Mhm.
mindset has to stay there, because
Mhm.
honestly, it is the voices in in our head,
Mhm.
the stories that we tell ourselves, right, that usually do us in,
Mhm.
right? Like it's the, oh, I can have a little bit of this. It's
Mhm.
not gonna hurt me, right? And that little bit turns into that, right? And
Mhm.
so I think it really is what you said, right? It
Mhm.
depends on the person, but it also depends on, I think, when you get to that point of, I'm tired of doing this over and over and over and over
Mhm.
again.
Sick and
That
tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also with this program as well, it broke down the anatomy of the body and showed just it just showed you so much on the back end that you wouldn't have saw in another program, and it
Mhm.
just gave you the background work of why we need to the why along with the process.
Yeah. I think another thing that is key that you said is the accountability, right?
Yeah,
That's that support system,
right.
right? Because I mean, I've done Weight Watchers. I've been a Weight Watchers leader.
Mhm.
I kept my weight off for, I want to say, 8 years, right? And then
Mhm.
life happened,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it came back on, right? And not all of it, because I know what to do, but the reality is, I think that in anything that you do, whether it's letting go of a relationship, letting go of a job, letting go of anything,
Mhm.
there has to be a support system or someone that you trust enough to be vulnerable enough to really share what you're going through, right?
Yeah.
Because, people want to pretend that they just let go and it's all good. I mean, and maybe there are some people that can do that, but
Yeah.
I feel like in letting go, there's always some type of residue.
Right. Right. And that's really great because the accountability partners I had in that group, well, it was just one, and we clicked on so many ways, and so it got personal with us that we shared our personal journeys and like you said, shit, we got sick or tired of being sick and tired. So sharing, and it was some days we was doing bad. We would call each other, sis, I'm not making it today. And she would send me, did you do this? Or did I do? And I would send her, did you do this? Or did you send this in? Did you do that? And so it really did work. And I think about all those things. So it was a mind shift, a mind change, which is, thank God, it keeps thus far, and I'm claiming that it's forever now.
Mhm.
There's, of course,
Yes.
going to be some slips here and there, and even with when we got off the 40-day, he told us how you can you're going to go on vacations, you're going to have this, so
Mhm.
don't think you got to eat, because he's like, we are in the Western nobody's going to eat like this
Mhm.
forever unless you
Mhm.
the vegan or the whoever, a diehard, because there are people that just won't, that's just their lifestyle. So, let's be realistic. And so have you one cheat meal a
Mhm.
week? And he said that I emphasize cheat meal, not day, meal.
And
Yeah.
I, yeah, and I know this program that I did where they call it a treat meal.
Uh-huh.
So I would say, whether you think of it as a treat or,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's even with the holidays. I used to say that when I was a Weight Watchers leader. I used
Mm-hmm.
to say to my members, Thanksgiving Day, it's one day,
Right.
right?
One.
Because we could take Thanksgiving and turn it into a week,
Yeah. And
right?
yeah, that is,
Yeah.
so it was just tools. Yeah, it was tools he gave to help you. So those tools still help me now. I do, I have dibbled and dabbled,
Mm-hmm.
but I've maintained thus far
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, I know what that stuff can do along with my body. I know how I felt. I know how I slept. I know how I had more energy. I don't want to go back to that. You know, now I
Mm-hmm.
got my little foot issue going on with my, but that's something that tendonitis, which is stopping me from walking. And today I walk because we had one of the first season for the season of Girl Track, the
Mm-hmm.
first boot camp, and it was so good. And so I walked, and my foot was hurting. I said, no, I'm not supposed to do it. But I only did a half an hour and I came back and stretched. I was like, dang it, I missed. But the peace of mind I got, that is just my peace. That's my sanity. I said, Lord, what am I gonna do to fix my? And I mean, I have that QB thing. You guys seen that?
Mm-hmm. And you stood under your
But
table.
it's not giving. I mean, I'm doing it, but like,
I mean, but I think what's important, right, for people to hear as we talk, right, is the art of letting go is that and Sheila said it earlier, is it's a continuation
yeah,
of you building on things, right? So that's how you get stronger. That's how it becomes an art. Because
right.
one, you discern what you should let go of and what you shouldn't let go of. You think about the why of letting it go. You think about the voices that you're hearing in your head. You think about, just having faith and believing that you can do it. Because part of you getting through those 40 days and part of us getting through anything, right, is believing that we're able to do it. Because the minute you say, I can't do it, right, you can't do it. But then you also come up with a strategy, as I like to call it, the toolkit, right, that helps you sustain it. Because the reality is that for anyone that's going through this lifestyle, if you're making eating right a lifestyle, that means that you got to incorporate holidays, so one of the things I used to do, and I still do, is I would say when I was going on vacation, I was a holiday, right? I would be like, all right, I'm going to be okay with gaining 5 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So that after that, if I gained 5 pounds, I'm not upset because already in my mind, I'm like, I'm okay with it, and I know what I'm gonna have to do to get it off.
Yeah.
Because I was a 10, because I had that thought, I usually didn't gain a lot of weight. And I also got to the point of, right, I would make sure I walk before dinner or after dinner, whatever. But I say all that to say that, the art of letting go is figuring out the best way to do it for yourself. Because Sheila said this when we started out, for everybody, it's going to look different.
Right.
Right. And so that is my final thought for today.
All right.
So what do you ladies have to say as we prepare to close out this show, which the hour always goes so quickly?
Yeah, it does.
So, I was just, we talked a little bit about mindset. So I said, well, let me just go and look up mindset, right? And a couple of definitions: the established set of attitudes held by someone. How do you define a mindset? A mindset is a series of self-perceptions or beliefs that people have about themselves, right? So while it may sound cliche-ish, if you believe it, you can achieve it. So again, it's just a matter of shifting your perceptions, right, from one direction to the other, or holding steadfast on a perception that will lead you to understand that it's okay to let things go.
Wow, that's good.
That's good. And I got to go after the professor. She's the professor. But yeah, that's really good. And from my perspective, I will just talk from my personal journey. Think ties in with letting go. When I decided that I wanted a healthier lifestyle for not only weight loss, but to live and to see my grandkids live, and these aches and pains as you get older. I was just feeling all these aches just all of a sudden in the last year or so. I'm like, what is this? Like, what? I'm like, So I got to do something. So from that, um, that then I did internal work, which made me start to let go. So just from my healthy journey to my mental, my spiritual, my physical layers start coming off. And so now I learn how to let go. So it is your personal journey and how you let go. So take your personal journey, take inventory of yourself and do some work with yourself, and then you'll start letting go.
That was good. The internal work. I like that. So we have reached our time, and we want to thank you for joining, whether you were here live or you will listen to this broadcast later. We thank you for joining the New You Nation Network on the YouTube channel. This is the Woman to Woman Show, and we look forward to meeting you here again next Monday at 8 p.m.
Yes.
Have a great night. And as we normally close out, we will say truth plus transparency equals
healing.
Have a wonderful night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.